Welcome back to another episode of Field Trips. My name's Ian Miller. I'd like to extend a welcome back to myself because I haven't been in the Alpine in a while, and it's nice to be back up here. I definitely miss it, but unfortunately I've been battling weather windows and just trying to balance family and work and everything in between. It sure seems like the windows get smaller every year, but I have one today. As you can see, the weather is not too spectacular right now, and that's because one storm is moving out and another is moving in. We've been hit with a lot of rain lately. Typhoons are rolling through, so hopefully I've got a 24-hour window where I don't get soaked, and maybe the transition in the weather will provide some spectacular light. We'll have to wait and see. My plan for tomorrow will depend on the incoming forecast. If I feel like I've got about 4 or 5 hours, I'm gonna go for this ridge walk. If I don't, I will head back. But I guess if the video timeline is close to 20 or over 20 minutes, that means the weather was probably good. So it's only been an hour and 45 minutes. I thought that was gonna be a 2.5-hour hike, and to be honest, I was going really slow. Definitely stopped a few times to make some video clips. Well, I'm not gonna complain about that.いいやんです。はい、お疲れ様です。ザックを下ろしていただいて。あ、いいですか？書いてもらって、お名前、住所、電話番号。はい。あと明日の行き先も教えてください。ここ一人ですね。一人、はい。明日はどこに行きますか？モロロ帰る。多分それとも立山わからない。天気はあと。天気が良かったら立山回って室戸に行って。あとおいくつですか？何これ？年齢エイジハオード48。はい、ありがとうございます。Just a side note here, if you do a lot of hiking, it's inevitable that you're gonna get hot and you're gonna sweat. And I just want to show you how I combat the sweats. How I do it is I start with a base layer, which is usually a thin tech shirt that fits close to the body. And then I will have a shirt on top of that. In this case, this is a merino t-shirt. And then as you saw earlier, I had to stop to put a shell on. The key is the layering system, because your base layer is going to catch all the moisture coming off your body, and for the most part your outer layer is going to stay dry. Now you can see I'm actually grabbing another t-shirt here. This is a tech t-shirt. You know, I will bring that for instances like this, so I can let these fully dry out and put those on later when I head out when it's a little bit cooler. If you're familiar with the show, every time I go to a hut, I end up having a slight conflict with the fact that they serve dinner during the prime hours of the early evening. But here they served it at 5 o'clock. It was actually 10 to 5, so I was pretty much out of there before 5 o'clock. There was no other customer in the building other than the staff, so maybe that made it easier. It's bound to be the case, but if you look around, maybe good light's not on the agenda today anyhow. Got dark really quick. It's all just cloud coverage. It's not so much the time of day, but pretty grim right now. Fortunately, there is somewhat of a defined path, but there's just one last little peak over here I'm gonna head to. Honestly, it's such bad visibility. I'm not sure if I've reached the summit just past there, or if it's just up ahead here. Now, if you were here and you reached out and touched my dead cat, you would feel that it is slowly collecting moisture. It's a little bit damp. There's quite a heavy crosswind right now, and also there's not a heck of a lot to see, so we'll keep exploring. Okay, so now I am on the summit of Mount Bessan. Almost the summit. The shrine is on the summit. So I've got a very simple and symmetrical frame. The way it's looking right now, this might be my shot for the night. I think I just realized that they're gonna turn the lights out in about 10 minutes because it's almost 8 p.m. I think I'm probably gonna lose power too, which means won't be able to charge too much, but probably just end up hanging out in the dark here. I'm gonna try and watch some Tour de France live streaming. I think that starts at 8 o'clock as well. And then just enjoy the rest of my beer and eventually fall asleep. So Oh, last night I got woken up by the weather just bouncing off the hut. For some reason I had convinced myself it was about 3 a.m. but it wasn't. Turned out it was only 11 p.m. I kind of felt like I had a whole bunch of sleep, and then right away I couldn't get back to sleep, so I ended up watching the last 40 kilometers of, I think, the 17th stage of the Tour de France, which is actually a really good ending, and then fell asleep pretty much right after. But now it's about 4:30, probably 4:40 now, and there was a little hint of better weather, but honestly it looks just about the same as last night. Just walking, shooting, not really putting a lot of effort into any photos because the clouds are moving so fast that every time I stop to take a photo, there's not enough time to frame anything before the next swab of clouds moves in. I'd also like to make it up a little bit higher, so I don't want to spend too much time standing still. Well, the light finally got nicer. It's quite a bit past the hours I really like to shoot at, but I think that's okay. I've decided to walk this ridge here. So basically I will head down here, up over this summit over here, and then head back down, and maybe you can see in the distance there's a bus terminal. It's probably gonna take a few hours, but I'll just kind of walk and document it as I go along. It's pretty early in the morning still. I can't imagine it's much past 5:30, so it should be a really nice walk. A lot of wind this morning. One thing I forgot about the forecast, that it was definitely calling for some pretty heavy wind later in the day. This ridge is really exposed, so I'm expecting it here, but hopefully I'm across the summit before it gets too windy. Well, there's actually some really beautiful light coming in right here with a little bit of foreground. There's a little trail there, kind of nice. The terrain's about to get a little more complicated. The wind has definitely picked up and has not died down. This is what we're dealing with coming up. It shouldn't be too bad, just a little scrambly, but I definitely want to keep all my gear nice and secured in my backpack right now. If I find a photo, of course we'll pull it out, but as you can see also the light has come up quite a bit. My alarm just went off 6:20, so that's just basically the time I wake up my son for school, and we start our day. So overall, nice little hike. A little too windy, but enjoying the atmosphere. I am probably close to 3,000 meters now. And I was just reminded as I approach this mountain hut of a time I stayed here. I had hiked out here. I can't remember, I might have been trail running, I'm not sure. I didn't know this hut was here, and it kind of just surprised me. And when I realized the beauty it was surrounded by and that it was at 3,000 meters, I just kind of changed my plan and decided to stay here. But the fellow who ran the hut, his name was Gucci-san, and this fella spent his summers in India. He was a student of meditation, yoga, spirituality, all these kind of things I really don't know anything about. And in the summer he would come and run this hut. Now the hut is closed now, and I probably stayed in it in one of the last years it was open, which is really unfortunate because it does have some really nice character. He, being the yogi that he was, somewhere around here there's like a nice flat platform that he arranged for himself, and the surrounding mountain huts, a handful of girls would come up pretty much every night, he said, and they would all practice yoga with them. And unfortunately the view is gone right now, but the platform he has and the view, it was spectacular. It's of Mount Sarugi, basically where I came from. Anyways, so this is the hut. When he had it open, it was a little more decorated, a little more of a Nepalese vibe. But just before I came, they had finished wrapping up filming a movie here. It's called Gaku. It's actually a pretty good movie for Japanese mountain climbing. And basically they had just wrapped maybe a week or two before. They stayed up here for about 2 months while they filmed, and all the Japanese stars in the movie had actually stayed in here for the entire time. But more importantly for me was that they left all their food behind. And that night he cooked up this amazing yakiniku fest. He also had bottles of unlimited alcohol from the guests. So there's just the three of us, and we had a pretty good time. I think the light is well past what I fancy. I think I'm gonna put my camera back in my bag, probably for the last time. And I think on that note, I will probably just put my head down and start hiking out of here. Overall, good to be back in the Alpine. Photograph wise, I don't think it was anything too special, but more importantly, I needed to get a day out and just kind of get my head back in the game for hanging out in the Alpine. Fingers crossed, but my next trip is going to be a multi-night adventure. My son is headed away for a school trip for 3 days, and I think this is the first time in probably a couple years at least that he's been a good 1,000 miles away for over 2 days. So I'm really looking forward to that, and just to get in some long distance hiking. The more time I get in, the more I'm in the Alpine. I guess the better the odds is that I'm gonna get some light I like and go home with some photos. All right, on that last note, I think that's it for today. Thanks again for watching, and we will see you next time on Field Trips. Take care.